Hello and welcome to Cinema Enigma. It ends with us, a book that literally started book talk. As insensitive and inconsiderate as it is, it does have a lot of fans. It does mention some touchy subjects that should be talked about and are important for people to be informed about. But I don't really see the book affecting positively in that direction. Well, I should say, if you don't know, the book and the movie are about domestic violence. And seriously, even after watching a lot of interviews, I had no idea, which is something to talk about. The movie was recently released and was making quite a noise, but none of them were positive and I wondered why. So I looked up the drama and I do understand now. Before spilling the tea for you, I want to give you some information about the crew for context. Let's start with Colleen Hoover, the writer. Well, before I got into the whole drama of this movie, I thought Hoover was just an erotic writer who didn't write the masterpiece of the decade, but her books were selling pretty well, and I think we all know why. But now I can see why a lot of people are calling her problematic. Hoover was previously a social worker and was engaged with a lot of DV and drug abuse victims, and that contains a lot of the plots in her books. So you would think she would talk about it with more sensitivity, right? No, I'm sorry, but she looks like she doesn't even care. But also in the book and even in the movie, you would see a lot of romanticizing this kind of behavior. I mean, imagine writing a book about domestic violence and seeing the book becoming a movie, but not paying any mind to the main message in the interviews whatsoever. And now let's talk about Justin Baldoni. He is the main character of the story Ryle, also he is the director and the producer of the movie. To be honest, first time I searched his name, I saw one of those suspicious podcasts that was called Man Enough. And I was like, really? But in the end, seeing him being the only one caring about the true message of the movie, I changed my mind. But something that mostly started this whole drama was him being separate from the whole crew in all the interviews and in the premieres, and others in the crew unfollowing him on social media. And Blake Lively, probably the whole drama. When they announced her as the Lily Blossom Bloom, oh and yes, that is her real name, fans were really pissed and were like, why would they choose her? At that time, I was like, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't you be happy that a famous actress is playing the character? Until I saw why.
Oh, that's why.
In the book, Lily is 23 years old, while Blake is 37. Lily is naiver when it comes to relationships and less sexually experienced, which plays a significant role in delivering the message of how domestic violence could particularly affect younger people. Of course, I'm not saying 23 years old are the only victims of DV and 37 years old are immune to it, because no one ever is. And it is something that could happen to anyone. But the problem is, she's not the Lily that exists in the book. The Lily we have in the book is a naive, immature girl that you can see she sometimes cannot see the red flags, but we can clearly see that Lily in the movie is romanticizing the abuse and red flags. Blake is not committed to the role. She changes it a lot. For example, I don't think Lily has enough money to wear fancy clothes and designer boots. And now let's talk about what happened. They released the movie and we saw a lot of interviews and premieres that went viral, mostly from Blake Lively. She would be like, grab your friends and wear your florals.
And It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
And you would think, well, what's wrong with that? The problem is, movie is about domestic violence and she acts like it's a cute rom-com. And she's not the only one. You would see a lot of interviewers acting the same.
But why?
And she starts advertising for her haircare products. You see her using the products on the interviewers, and she also uses the movie to promote her alcoholic beverages line. Okay, cool, but are we still talking about domestic violence? Also, personally, I don't think this movie in particular is the best place to promote alcohol. Domestic violence is something that should be talked about more, because it is mostly from someone you love and you will ignore it and you might brand it as them only being angry. You definitely need help to get past it. Movies like this can help people to accept their situation and seek the help they need. and advertising the movie as it is a romantic movie that you should grab your friends to watch is very wrong. It seems like the only person who took this movie seriously in the crew is Justin Baldoni. In his interviews, he talks about the DV and how the movie tried to help people who are in the situation.
Look, we live in a culture where, unfortunately, too many things are glorified. If anybody has had that real-life experience, I can imagine how hard it would be to imagine their experience being in a romance novel. To them, I would just offer that that we were very intentional in the making of this movie.
There are a lot of sources from people who worked with Lively and Baldoni who are saying these two had serious problems working with each other. Lively recently said that he lingered on the kissing scenes for too long and he fat-shamed her, asking how much she weighs and if lifting her could hurt his back due to some prior back problems. She was very offended when she found out he fat-shamed her after she gave birth to her fourth child recently. Apparently, Ryan Reynolds had a hand in the production of the movie. As Blake herself even said, he has changed some lines in the script, which is a big screw you to the writers. But she seems to be very proud of her husband for doing so. What it looks like to me is that this couple wanted to turn the movies they were playing, It Ends With Us and Deadpool and Wolverine, into a Barbenheimer situation, which they failed. Ryan worked some It Ends With Us interviews where he was the interviewer. I mean, why would you think it would work? There are even some photoshops of Blake and Hugh Jackman in which it seems like they weren't even in the same room. It's the fakest Photoshop ever, and it's done by Vogue too. I mean, I would understand why Baldoni would be angry with them. He made this movie for a purpose, and this couple comes up and acts like they own everything and try to make as much money as they can from both their movies, only to not even talk about it in the right way and advertise it in the worst way possible. And of course, as you can see all over the internet, the premieres and interviews didn't go well at all. And we are not only talking about the crew not talking about domestic violence, but apparently Blake Lively is a bully. Starting with an interviewer publishing a video from 2016 where she says congrats on your little bump to Blake, and she seemingly gets irritated and she says it back to her.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Or the reporter asked about the movie and what Blake would do if someone in a similar situation approached her because of the movie. Blake jokingly said she could give them her address and share her location with them.
What's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Or I could just location share you and then we could
She could just answer the questions. Why did she have to do that to herself? But all she went to the premieres to do was to talk about Britney Spears and Taylor Swift and her boots like clothes, her hair products, actually anything but the movie. But I guess whatever happened, the movie could do good. The movie and the book have some differences, but I think some of the changes in the movie were for the better. For example, I liked the ending of the movie a lot more than the ending of the book. And of course, there were some changes that I didn't like even a bit. Although I don't like the writer and the book, but I have to admit, movie does a great deal, at least in informing people. And I would say all of these things we see in the internet is just a failed marketing from Reynolds' family. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button and leave a comment. And subscribe for more videos.